Holy Spirit of God, we turn and return to remembrance of your presence, ever present by your grace. Though our attention to you comes and goes, be to our hearts our deepest desires, be to our minds our fullest expression, be to our wills our truest aim, as we open ourselves to receiving and sharing the gift of your grace. Amen. So Simon, James, and John, as we just heard, are tired and they are frustrated. They had been fishing all night and they hadn't caught a thing. And this is their livelihood. They're fishermen. And they know that they can have all of the skill and the knowledge and the hard work, but if fortune is not in their favor, if forces outside of their control drive the fish away, they're in for hungry times. And so they're not only worn out and frustrated, they're probably also feeling worried about whether this downward trend will continue and whether survival will get desperate for them. So they're on their shore, cleaning their empty nets, doing one last chore before they can go home and rest, when along comes this wild, holy man named Yeshua, Jesus. And Jesus didn't come alone. There's a crowd following him, and pressing and eager to hear what he has to say. And now Jesus has this presence to him that stirs the hearts of those who are in this presence, and stirs maybe a distant memory, like a flicker, a yearning in the depths of our soul for a deeper belonging beyond the dissatisfaction of worldly concerns. There's a deeper belonging in the sacred source of life itself. Jesus brings with him, embodies the light and the life of God, the Creator, the love of God, the Creator. And he shares this with those who would listen as he goes around the countryside, stirring people awake to the realm of God and calling them to respond to this deepest stirring in their soul and to live in a good way according to God's truth and love and grace. And so the crowds press into Jesus, eager to learn from him. And he sees the boats of these fishermen, and he asks if he would let him use one to stand out in the water and teach. And they agree, and soon Jesus is floating out there between the deeps and the sky, and his voice is ringing out clearly over the water as he shares about the presence of the realm of heaven here in our midst, here on earth. And after he finishes teaching, Jesus tells the fishermen to push out into deeper waters, Push out into deeper waters and cast out your nets. And Simon protests at first. Look, you're a carpenter, with all due respect. And we've been fishing all night, probably. We're tired and we're frustrated. We're cutting our losses here and getting some rest. We're just wrapping up and getting ready to go home before you came along. But if you say so, and Jesus did say so. And so the weary fishermen dug deep and they pushed out into deeper waters and they cast out their nets one more time. And immediately the nets are filled with fish, right? And this strikes Simon to his heart. This means something more than just a bunch of fish for him. There's something more going on than just a bunch of fish. Jesus knows for certain that he is in the presence of a tremendous holy power embodied in this holy person. And it humbles him, and he feels unworthy. Rabbi, I don't deserve to be in your presence. This is more than just about fish. There's nothing to fear, Jesus tells him. And Simon is filled with a grace that runs down into the depths of his soul. From now on, Jesus tells him, you will be fishing for people. So this is the story about how Simon, later to be called Peter, sometimes we say Simon Peter, just so we don't get confused, along with James and John, came to follow Jesus and to share his ministry of the good news of God's life-transforming grace that Jesus brought into the world. And this is a story that is dense and it's charged with sacred symbolism. It's more than just about fish. It's a teaching story that evokes something of the holy mystery and the power that comes in this way of Jesus. Push out into the deep and cast your nets. Yet again, one more time. So the spiritual abundance that we most truly need and seek, the source of our satisfaction for our deepest yearning, from our deepest soul needs, this is not to be found in the shallows. This is not to be found at a superficial level, but in the depths. In the depths, where the depths of our souls meet the depths of this great mystery of God. You know, what's it like to be out in a boat and to look over and to realize that there is something deep under your feet? So this is true for us as individuals, go deep. This is true for us as a community of faith, go deep. And this is true for our wider society and our wider communities, the need to go deep. And this can feel scary, right? Like it can when you peer over the edge and whoa, it goes way down. It's a venture into the unknown. But we don't meet God at the surface level, at the safe level. If we stay safe, we're ultimately going to be frustrated with the unfruitfulness of our lives of faith. And we can numb those frustrations, we can distract ourselves from those frustrations, but they just don't go away, really, when it comes down to it. So it has been said, our greatest need is also our greatest fear, to be known fully as we are. Our greatest need and our greatest fear, to be known for who we are. So this is an insight that's courtesy of Friedrich Buechner, who is a wonderful teacher and writer in our Jesus tradition. He died a few years ago, of blessed memory. The greatest need to be known, simply and truly as we are, at our depths, is the need to be loved, simply and truly as we are, to belong, to know that we are known and it's okay, right? And the fear is that we will be known and we won't be loved. We'll be found wanting, we'll be judged, cast out. It's an intensely vulnerable position to be known, especially in the depths. And this is why Jesus says to Simon, Peter, there's nothing to fear. You know, when Simon Peter is struck by sort of the full meaning of what's going on here, when he encounters the depths of this holy abundance that Jesus is bringing with his presence, he expresses shame and inadequacy. I don't deserve this. And what does Jesus say? Do not fear. Do not be afraid. I see you. I know you. I love you. In your fragility, in your humility, in your limitations as a human being, which are true. I see you, I know you, I love you. And I see that you also bear within you great power to share what you now know, to share this knowledge of being known, that God knows you and loves you with infinite grace. I see that you have that power to share that with others, to help them to be known and to know that they are known, free from fear, to bring others into the fold of this deep and holy love of God. And this is the start of Simon Peter's journey with Jesus. And we know that a lot of his weaknesses and blind spots, pretty much all of them, are going to be exposed. Exposed in the light of God's grace and loved. So this story is often seen to be a call to evangelism, right? To Simon Peter and to the church of the here and now. Follow me and be fishers of men, Jesus says. And this, I'll be honest, has bothered me, this image of fishing and netting, because fish don't agree to get caught in the nets. And I think we all probably know that icky feeling of someone getting really pushy about trying to save our souls. And the manipulative weave of fears and rewards that can try to catch you and reel you in, right? It feels to me to be icky. But I see this story now in a new light. After this past week at the national gathering of our United Church of Christ, this story was really the guide for worship and for reflection and for our time together into the deep. And there was a lot of wrestling with each other, encountering with each other about what it means to be a united church, a united and uniting church, a big tent church, as we like to say, amidst all of the divisions and the crises and the challenges of our times. The power of this story is not about nets, it's about depths. Jesus said, push out into deeper waters. And it's in the depths of our soul that we are called to encounter God and to encounter each other, to be welcomed and welcoming into our greater belonging, deeper than what divides us. So I was moved in the national gathering here by a sense of kindred spirithood. Here are kindred spirits seeking other kindred spirits. There was an earnestness with how folks encountered each other, with this expectation, this sort of by grace, that there's a shared belonging to a greater love. Even, or especially, when that was hard, when there were some very passionate differences. Some honest expressions of differences. Honest expressions of hurt and harm and need for repair. Honest about love for one another and about our desire for there to be repair and reunification. And above all, for our greater need and belonging to that which is wider and deeper and fuller than ourselves, God. So I want to share with you that this beloved community of faith here is part of a larger body of kindred spirits that is beloved and rowdy. So have you found your kindred spirits? Do you seek kindred spirithood, a greater belonging in a community and the greater love of God? Do you seek more kindred spirits in your life? Do you yearn for more kindred spirits? And could you invite others into that deeper sense of connection and belonging, of kindred spirithood. So many folks in our lives and in our society feel alone and lonely. And that may be true for us. Unknown, unloved. And so many of us are staying at a surface level of things and just performing, or just displaying, or hiding and avoiding, being known, risking being known, risking knowing others. And a lot of folks are worn out from having to fight off kind of threats to their belonging, or to hide from threats to their belonging, to hide from judgment, to hide from dehumanization, to hide from violence, frankly, and are truly fearful of all the fearful forces that are flying around. And so we need our churches. I mean, thank God for this community. I want to affirm, but also invite and challenge us to go deep, ever deeper together in how we connect with one another, honestly, with the depths of our beings, as well as to welcome others into a church community that is welcoming and safe and brave and trustworthy. To be worthy of the trust that we have for each other, to know that we are known and loved simply for who we are. So it may be that, like Simon and James and John, after long nights of labor over fruitless fishing, you may be feeling tired. You may be feeling weary. You may be feeling frustrated, or despairing, or despondent, or numb. And Jesus' call is, go deep. Dig deep and go deep. Don't stay at the surface level of things. To push out into deeper waters and to cast our nets ever deeper still. Because we meet God in the depths of our souls, in the depths of God's holy mystery. And this is what we're invited into. And this is what we can invite others into when we do church in a way that is good and real. And we can encounter each other truly and honestly in an authentic community, animated and sustained by this call from Christ. And this means to be real about what humbles us, to be real about our weaknesses and shortcomings and our hurts and our harms and our blind spots. This means being real about our great power and potential and giftedness when we allow Jesus to guide us into the mystery and the grace of our God. And so this, is why I ask and continue to ask, how is it with your soul? And may we be able to be real about that before God and with each other, and to encounter that with each other and to help us along in this journey. And so I thank you for being part of this venture into the deeps, and I invite us ever deeper still. So for all of this, I give thanks to God.